Now, Germany has said that Ukraine can now hit any Russian target that it feels necessary. Berlin has also signaled that it would no longer publicly announce what and how many weapons it would be sending to Ukraine. Moscow has once again issued a stern warning to Berlin, calling it a dangerous move. But the big question is this: will Germany provide the Taurus missiles to Ukraine, and why? It could tilt the scales in Kyiv's favor. Take a look.
This week, the battlefield in Ukraine has exploded into chaos. Russian forces have unleashed relentless waves of missiles and drone swarms, pounding Ukrainian cities from Kharkiv to Odessa. Air raid sirens wail night and day. Firefighters race from one smoldering ruin to another. Ukraine's defenses are stretched thin. Now, in a new twist, Germany has dropped a bombshell. Berlin has declared it will no longer reveal the types or quantities of weapons it's sending to Ukraine. But behind this veil of secrecy, one name is electrifying military circles. The Taurus missile, if delivered, this stealthy, precision-guided cruise missile could be the game-changer Ukraine desperately needs. For a Ukrainian military battered by Russia's latest onslaught, the Taurus could flip the script, taking the fight to the heart of Russian logistics and command. For now, Ukraine has a range of long-range weaponry in its arsenal. Ukraine is already using the Storm Shadow missiles against targets inside Russia. Storm Shadow is an Anglo-French cruise missile with a maximum range of around 250 km and made in UK. The French call it Scalp. The American Army Tactical Missile System, or ATACMS, are US-made tactical, ballistic missile with a range of up to 300 kilometers. It is known for its accuracy and speed, reaching up to Mach 3. Then there is Neptune missile, a homegrown Ukrainian missile, initially designed as an anti-ship weapon. It was later modified to strike land targets, including military infrastructure and air defense systems. Now, Taurus, which has an extended range of 500 km, can substantially increase the strike range of Ukrainian military. It can penetrate through dense air defense systems and destroy the hardened bunkers on ground. Until now, Germany under Olaf Scholz refused to hand over Taurus, fearing escalation. But Friedrich Merz has long criticized that caution. While Merz hasn't confirmed the delivery yet, his new policy of secrecy signals a shift from hesitation to resolve. Moscow is furious and has warned Berlin, pointing towards its changing stance.
Yesterday he made such a pretentious statement that from now on and forever there will be no range restrictions on strikes. Remarkably, he was talking on behalf of not only his country, but also France, the UK, and the US. In a few minutes or in an hour, Mr. Merz's Vice Chancellor said that nothing like that is or was on agenda.
For Ukraine, this could be the beginning of a new offensive phase. For Russia, it could mean war reaches deeper into territory it thought untouchable.
All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what is happening in the Russia-Ukraine war, we are joined on this broadcast by retired Lieutenant General Ben Hodges. He's an ex-commanding general and also a NATO senior mentor for logistics. He's joining us live from Frankfurt. General Hodges, thank you very much indeed, sir, for joining us here on WION. Now, this is an interesting statement by the sitting Chancellor of Germany, where he has said that Germany wants to lift all restrictions on the range to which Ukraine can in fact hit in this war, and any military target inside Russia that it deems fit needs to be hit. But then he later also climbed down from that position, saying that he's not saying anything new. In your assessment, a statement like this at a time when negotiations are ongoing for some kind of a deal, what does it do to that?
Well, first of all, there are no legitimate negotiations happening. The Trump administration has failed miserably to make any meaningful progress with negotiations. And so now we see that Europe realizes this, and that the President Trump has been played or outmaneuvered by President Putin. And so the Europeans have to act more decisively to help Ukraine, which of course is also helps provide for their own security. That's number one. Number two, what the Bundeskanzler Herr Merz is doing, of course, this is leadership. This is German leadership that we have all been waiting on for so long, leading by example. And all he's doing is common sense. He's telling the Ukrainians, we're providing you a capability, you use it where you think it's most needed, in accordance with the law of armed conflict, of course. And I think the Ukrainians will know where to use this weapon best, what priority targets they have. But I think this will help Ukraine hit Russian airfields from which these bombers have been taking off, killing innocent Ukrainian civilians. And so it's better to kill the archer than to try and knock down all the arrows. And I think this will give Ukraine some better capability there. There is no one game-changer weapon. Be clear about that, but this will help.
Interesting, you say that there are no serious negotiations for deal, and you also say that Donald Trump perhaps realizes that he's getting played by Putin. But the Russians have been very clear. Any Western nation that sends weapons to Ukraine to be used on Russia could itself potentially become a target itself if it is giving these long-range weapons to target cities deep inside Russia. Does this not now mean that Germany would enter into a phase where it could come under attack because it could be supplying these long-range Taurus missiles?
Well, two things. First of all, we have been providing weapons to Ukraine for more than 3 years. Actually, going back to the first Trump administration when we provided Javelin to the Ukrainians. So this is not something new. And the Russians continuously threatening anybody that does something to help Ukraine, somehow creating this narrative that the Russians are the victims here, of course, is typical Russian nonsense and a false narrative. Ukraine has the right to defend itself, and I think it's appropriate that we help Ukraine defend itself against these attacks that are killing innocent Ukrainian civilians.
My quick final question to you is this. By giving these long-range weapons, do you think these European powers are pitting themselves in a direct conflict with the Russians?
Well, they already are. I mean, the Russians already act as if they're at war with all of us. The destruction of infrastructure in the Baltic Sea, constant violations of airspace and disruption of freedom of navigation, as we saw happening just the other day in the Baltic Sea with Estonia, the murders, the disinformation, the constant cyber activity. All of these things are, these are not coincidental. This is how Russia behaves. And until we get serious and stop them, it's only going to get worse.
All right. Interesting. Thank you very much indeed, General Hodges, for joining us with that perspective there.
Thanks for the privilege.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.